Week podcast, and we've got news for you.
Yes.
We are on our last season.
Woo! Yes.
Season-
This is the last episode for
of
season one.
Season finale.
Yes.
Are you guys ready for this?
Exciting.
Come on.
And it's your girl Esther, the Nigerian queen, as always.
It's your girl Christabel, the one and only sweet Blackberry.
And it's your girl Izzy, also known as Izzy.
Yes.
And guys, we've got a treat for you today. We've got Mr.
Man like NELLS.
Yes.
Come on. Give it up for my man.
Welcome.
Come on.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks
My
for
pleasure.
coming. Where did you come from?
I came from London Bridge today.
Okay.
Just a young little shift.
Yeah.
Hear me, but it's Babylon, so not really
Yeah.
too.
You were saying before you finished early just to come on this, didn't you?
Yeah.
Appreciate the love.
Yeah.
on.
You
Come
really
on.
be getting that love, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, before we start, we've got an icebreaker for you.
Yes. So we've got a little game. It's 5 interesting facts about Africa. And tell me if it's true or false. Okay, so the first one. Is Africa the second largest continent on the earth?
That's false.
That's actually true.
What makes you think it's false,
Yeah.
though? Which one do you think comes in second?
Well, as in where's Africa, or which continent is the second largest one? I'd say the second large. I'm just taking a wild guess.
Yeah, sure.
I'd say Asia.
Okay.
Okay, interesting one.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second one is between 1,500 to 2,000 languages are spoken in Africa. Is that true or false?
Is that true?
Yes, that's actually true.
He was like, I'm not sure. I'm going to get it wrong.
Africa is the source of the world's longest river.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wicked. Africa is home to the world's oldest university.
Facts. Timbuktu.
No.
Oh, we knew that one.
Somebody
Okay,
knows
guys.
it. The richest man ever is from Africa.
Biggest facts. Mansa Musa.
Man,
Come
somebody
on.
knew it.
The
Okay.
last one, the world's largest, hottest desert is in Africa.
I'd say so.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well done. You got majority of them right.
Come
Done
on.
well.
How
Yes.
many points is that?
So that is, I believe, 5 out of 6.
Wow, well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Black power and all that.
Yes.
Well, love that.
Love
We're
it.
out of it.
Well, before we start, we want you to do an introduction about
Yes.
yourself. Just tell us
Tell
what you
us
do, your
everything.
background, where you from.
Cool. So I'm from Central Africa, which is a country found right in the heart of Africa. Most people in England don't know about it because it's been purposely kept under and misrepresented and that, just so that they could keep extracting and thing. Do you know what I'm saying? And obviously it was colonized by the French, so most people that migrate out of Central Africa go to France or French-speaking countries. So I was born in France and I moved here about 14 years ago now. And I sound design or organize events, like anything to do with music really, is basically what I specialize in. At the minute, I've been working on some cool stuff, performing-wise as well. On the 10th, this month, because we're in July now. So on the 10th, I'll be performing at Russell Brand's festival in Wales.
Wow.
Big up,
That's
big up, big up.
amazing.
Yeah, and
Exciting.
sound-wise as well. So I'm trying to branch out to more like music for films and score writing, because it's just about the normalization of ownership. You know, it's just about you retaining everything and not really having to go through this man, that man. Do you know what I mean? Because that's when you lose the percentage and that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so that's really what I'm on. And in terms of where I'm from in London, I'd say Southeast London.
Okay, representing.
Gang.
Yeah, that's me.
My music guru side wants to ask you, who is your dream collaboration?
See, I used to think in that way before, but I don't really think like that anymore. Now I'm just open to collaboration.
So there's not like one artist that you're like, I really want to work with you.
No, not particularly.
No?
I think at the minute we have, in terms of how the industry is set, there's a lot of blackface, and I think we've got to cleanse that out first. And then eventually those that are speaking what need to be spoken, then I can be like, do you know what? I want to work with you. Because even those
What
that
do
I
you mean
did.
blackface?
Yeah.
So-
Do you want to
that?
elaborate
So
on
are
that
you
a
guys
bit?
know, are you not familiar with that term?
We are.
Yeah, we are,
Oh,
but
you are.
yeah.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
your experience, or for you, what?
Okay, cool. Well, for those that aren't familiar with the term blackface, it's basically a phenomenon that was created by the ops and
The ops.
normalized via the media in the early, like I want to say, 1920s, them sort of times. And it was just about misrepresenting the African community on screen. And what's happened is that obviously that got banned out of the media, but the seed that it planted is now obviously found within our communities and within our approach towards representing who we are. We have a lot of brothers and sisters today that unfortunately aren't educated on such a topic, therefore and thereby embody ideas that have nothing to do with us. And when I look at the industry today, especially the world of music, there's a lot of normalized ideas that have nothing to do
Give
with
an
us.
example.
Well, see, I'm not one to like normalize like
Pull them
pointing
out.
fingers and
Call
that.
it out.
No, but
Let's
you know what it is,
hear
yeah. Do you know what it is? Because I could do that all day, but I don't really
Yeah.
see how that's constructive. The idea is to build. It's not.
But
to...
I think it's just to understand it more as well. Like
Okay,
in
so
terms of your
to
perspective.
understand it more, I would say anything to do with aspects that aren't empowering us as people and what the people that did it before us stood for as well. You know, you look at the 1960s, what was happening globally, so not just in America, in Europe, also in Africa, was a normalized black consciousness that enabled us to move forward. You know, and in terms of the arts that came out of that era, I'm sure that all of us in this room probably still listen to some of that music. You know, hence it got the title of being called timeless music. You know, like you think of someone like Marvin Gaye, for example, he was singing about women a lot. And then when everything hit the fan, he basically started to sing about our struggle because he knew he had the platform, and he also knew that he couldn't stop, like he couldn't act as if things weren't happening. Do you know what I mean? And I think today that's what a lot of us musicians, unfortunately, find ourselves in the reality of, like we just act as if things aren't happening, you know. And I think people need to take accountability. So when obviously you're telling me, give some examples, I don't see that as constructive. I see that as just enabling the machine to keep going. I think what's important is for us to understand what it is and how we supply it today. Because essentially what's happened is they don't have to play blackface anymore because we'll just do it ourselves. It's like a self-destruction thing, you know? So it's
Well, see, I understand blackfacing as basically when people, like white people, for example, will put like dark things on their face to try and appear black. But I think you are explaining blackface in a different context.
Exactly, yeah.
No, but this is, see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's just a branch of what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is actually what birthed blackface, like the first representation of African descendants in the media. Are you guys aware of the very first representation?
No.
No.
Tell
Okay,
us.
yeah,
Educate us.
yeah, we wanna know.
He's
So
come to
the
educate
very
us.
first representation of African descendants in American media was a white man that painted himself black, right? And used to go around supposedly raping women, enabling KKK members within the film to go after him and then publicly lynch him. That's the very first movie that actually embodied the concept of blackface. Hence what I'm telling you about the misrepresentation of what blackface actually represents. Because once I've created a fake fantasy about who you are, I can sell that image and then do what I want in order to keep you where I'm keeping you. Do you know what
So
I
you
mean?
think the idea is about basically making black people into this aggressive people? Is
Deeper
that
deeper
the
than
concept?
deeper than aggression, I'd say it's just misrepresentation. Because
Okay.
every time we spoke about ourselves, it hasn't been about anything other than ultimately self-mastery and divinity. That's what we wrote about. Any amazing African scholars wrote about individuals mastering themselves to the best of their capacity,
Yeah.
you know? Now, every time they wrote about us, or every time they represented us, it has been about misrepresenting us and degrading us. Do you know what I mean? So today, I look at the music industry.
So it's the degradation of black people, basically.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. You
That's
look at it.
I've never really heard it in that context. Yeah, quite different.
Yeah. So as I said, most people aren't educated, and therefore they're the victims of that. You know, ignorance just keeps people doing the same stuff over and over again.
Wow, that's a different context, like you said, that I've never heard before, which is really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You seem quite like a deep person.
Yeah.
Even the way you've come in quite strong.
Exactly.
Like, I'm here to educate you guys.
That's what it does all day long. All day
That's
long.
good.
Man. Yeah, man.
Well, let's see if you can educate us in terms of this topic. Like, there's a topic that's trending right now, the Roe and Wade conversation. So I don't know if you're aware.
No, this time you get to educate me.
Oh, okay. So what's happened right now in America? Basically, it's been overturned that women have the right to
Oh yeah, I did hear that.
opt into abortion.
Absolutely.
So basically, they're basically saying that women can't decide to abort their children.
Yeah.
And even in the UK, because people have actually protested for it to become a human right, that you have a right to be able to opt into abortion.
Yeah.
Now in the UK, they've actually said that no, it's not a human right. Like, yeah, it's allowed, it is legal to abort, but it's not a human right.
Okay.
But yeah, what do you think about that?
Okay, so I think that one in particular is one that requires education further than how it ultimately makes us feel. Now, as stated by many men on this topic, men shouldn't have any say-so over what women do and choose to do, because that whole normalization of I get to tell you what to do has to stop, like, immediately. But let alone that, I think this one in particular requires further analysis, because science has demonstrated many things about how humanity develops, right? And obviously, we're here now in a situation where supposedly we can vote to enable certain decisions to happen or not to happen. So what's happened here supposedly is the result of a vote. But I think it's much deeper than that. I don't think the vote had anything to do with it at all, because essentially they present democracy, but democracy never really occurs. That's the first thing to consider. The second one is we have to bear in mind that when African descendants were placed in subordination, so like slavery and all of them sort of things, there was like there was an attempt to stop us from actually developing as human beings, hence the dehumanization. Now, within the next 10 years after we got set free, or at least in America, when they got set free, they managed to turn the situation around in a way that they hadn't predicted they'd be able to. They thought that they'd be so damaged mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually that they wouldn't be able to actually make something of themselves. And African descendants have demonstrated yet again that we have a magic that the world just can't explain nor understand.
Yeah.
And overpowered the situation to a level where it became apparent that if we were left alone, we would keep progressing, because that's just what we do. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so
Now,
what's the link with Roe and Wade?
I'm giving you context.
I was like,
no, you have to pay attention.
Yeah,
It's important. Now, the reality is that today in America, and the reason I'm specifically talking about America is because America has been almost romanticized to the world as like the leading force that everyone looks towards. Obviously, we're out of it now. Do you know what I mean? We can see past the smokescreen and that. But I'm sure that when we were kids, we all looked towards America as in
The American
what's cool.
dream.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's cool, how to wear, how to speak. You know, all of my trips to the motherland, I've gone to like 5 African countries. And when I'm there, African teenagers try to speak to me with an American accent. They don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here for them. I'm here for the whole African experience, but they want to supposedly accommodate to me as a Westerner. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of how the programming is run.
Yeah.
Now, in America, and thanks to science, we're very sure now, and we know this for a fact, like, let alone how many scientists have spoken about it, we've all seen it with our eyes. The black gene is the dominant gene. right? So if Americans, right, so like remove all ideas of like labeling or all ideas of like provenance of the American, because you could be talking about indigenous Americans, obviously Irish, English, white Americans, African Americans, all of the contextualization of the term America, they're all put into one box. Yeah. If they can freely reproduce, yeah, we know that there'll be no more white people. There'll just be none. Like, scientifically speaking, there'll be none. Now, understanding that white supremacy is what's in charge in America, it's important for them to run an agenda that will enable white supremacy to stay where it's at now. And that agenda simply involves removing rights from people in order for them to control the population. So that situation in particular, it's deeper than women being able to abort. It's about population control.
You think
Oh,
so?
that's interesting.
Well,
take.
yeah, you've gone really back, like taken us back and then brought us back again, and you're saying it's deeper than Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a different take
Yeah.
have on it.
I did have a question, but how about specifically having the right to do it? Like how about the woman, the feeling of not being able to do it, or the feeling of being able to do it? Do you think it's a good takeaway from people, or?
It's obviously terrible, but the reality is we've normalized almost like taking it upon ourselves to just discuss situations when it's apparent that without a revolution, it will just keep going.
Right.
So we could sit here and be like, oh, it's sad, and oh my God, what are we going to do? But I think it's time we face some harsh truth. We've had conversations for centuries, and we've had scholars and qualified individuals that have spoken about these sort of situations in depth. Yet we keep telling ourselves that eventually we're working towards a world of equality. I mean, today's Pride Day, so on my way here, I saw obviously loads of people that had gone to the parade and that. Now, I appreciate the idea of marching and parading and, hey, our voices will be heard one day. But it's apparent that we're going into a cycle. And the more and more we enable the power to be outside of us, which is really what they've done. They've removed us having the very thought of feeling like we've got power. We all feel powerless supposedly to the people in charge, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, they keep the
Taking power from
yeah.
us.
By the way, in terms of how we speak, do I have to filter my speech? Or can I swear? Not that I necessarily want to.
Speak how you are. I mean,
Okay.
obviously,
Speak
bearing in
your
mind
truth.
that the audience, you want to make it simple for them as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can engage. So
No,
yeah.
I'm with it. But point being, I hear what you're saying, and as I stated when I first started speaking, men have no business talking about Wagwan for women. No, but let's
that's the kind of speak people will understand.
Yeah, let's just start here.
Yeah, but what about the men that do have business? Because
Exactly.
you are speaking like they don't have business, but some men do put their noses in business of women and would tell a woman to abort. So what can you say about men like that? Like, what's your stance about that?
Well, okay, no, but can you be specific about when you say they do put their nose? Do you mean people that are in charge of what's happening, or people that are just commenting?
No, see, for example, I will give you a scenario. A guy makes a woman pregnant, and then now he tells the woman to abort it. Does he have a say in that? Like, can he tell? You're saying men don't have the right to tell a woman what to do with their bodies, but yet there are men that are out there that tell their woman to abort children. So,
But that's a demonstration of that man being incapable of taking accountability.
Yeah.
It takes two to tango.
That's what I wanted to hear.
It takes two to tango. See, I appreciate that, but to me, this is just like a given. You can't put yourself, like, we're all adults in here. Yeah, you can't put yourself in a situation and be like, oh, I didn't mean it. And that's just a demonstration of your incapacity to take accountability for your actions. Do you know what I mean? I think what we're actually talking about here is actually what's actually going on and how do we move forward. You know, what we've done way too often, for like, we've just normalized that for like generations now. We just complain about stuff. Yeah, like if this is a problem for us, let's do something about it.
I was gonna
You feel
ask,
me? Like,
what do you think we can do to gain our power back then?
Well, first of all, it starts with detaching ourselves from the system that we unfortunately currently all decide to be dependent on. That system is broken and specifically doesn't work for Black people. Like, I've tried to give you as much context as possible in a very short amount of time. There's so much more that I could say, but obviously we've got to stay on topic. The reality is that over an entire period of time, since, let's say, Black sovereignty was obviously recorded on paper, all we've witnessed since we've been working with the colonizers, is just... So, like, let's just be honest with ourselves and be like, okay, when was things good for us? And how do we put structures for that? You've actually got like a bunch of studies and structures.
But just specifically for like the abortion topic, like, what do you think? Because I think what you were saying before in terms of protesting, marching, do you not think that's effective? Like, people protesting?
That don't work, man. Like,
no?
If it was working, we wouldn't keep talking. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all good for, and I appreciate the idea of togetherness. I appreciate the idea of like standing up for like your freedom of speech and all of them things.
Yeah, but I hear people say that things like protesting don't work, yeah? But what else can we actually, do you know what I mean? Like,
pure smoke.
Like, what's
pure smoke? Like, listen, revolution.
You want us to get into
revolution.
Violence. We need to start a war. That's how it
a revolution right
guns,
now.
Bombs, like, what are we talking, guys?
Listen,
can we
revolution right now? It's revolution or nothing. Like, obviously,
explain the revolution. Explain it.
Like, what it begins with you taking charge of yourself and your thought process.
Right.
Yeah. It begins with the conscious effort.
Step one.
That's step number one. Like, the conscious effort of making sure that what's in your head is supposed to be there. Because that's how they do it. Like, do you remember I mentioned the blackface thing at the start of this, yeah? They do it by normalizing ideas that are not yours.
Okay.
You understand? There's many things that we do that are detrimental and destructive to the Black community and the African community overall, all over the globe.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand this revolution though. Would you say things like actually going to get the abortion yourself then? If the government are not going to do it for you, how about I abort the baby myself? Is that what you're trying to say?
In this particular context, what I think would be the healthiest way to approach it, we need systems that are going to enable support for the women that are going to find themselves in that unfortunate situation. Let's obviously, we have to contextualize everything.
Yes.
In this topic right here, health first. Procreation, well, not procreation, but like, let's say the health of the individuals that are unfortunately going to find themselves in that situation because we know what happens. So that, in terms of that topic, let's focus on that. We need structures of individuals that are going to break the rules in a controlled manner in order to enable individuals to be. Because this is just more control over your mind and over your well-being as a person. Now, in terms of the revolution itself, it starts with individuals being in charge of their thinking, because too many are just sheep-like, and just following this trend and that trend and doing nonsense. You don't need that. You need
actually
your thing.
Talking about trends, I know you're quite into like your spirituality and all that stuff. Am I right to say you're into like African spirituality?
Big facts.
Yeah. Obviously, we're talking about trends. There is a massive trend where it's like African spirituality is considered like witchcraft. And it's like demonic. I mean, my opinion of that is because of the Western people that they brought, like the Europeans, they brought Christianity and all this religion, and they've tried to filter our actual religion and then tried to demonize it, and then brought this Christianity and made it look like this is the savior, this is what's meant to save Africa, basically. What do you think about that? Because obviously it's something that you practice, isn't it? So explain opinions on that.
I think, I mean, let alone my opinion, I think it's about individuals actually doing the work. When you look in the mirror, you can see that you're Black. When you think like a Black person. When you eat food, the smell in your house, everything is a representation of the motherland. So I think when we're now in a situation where living here in the West, we encounter so many poisonous ideologies and practices of the ops that we have forgotten the actual essence of what it means to be an African descendant. To be an African descendant is to practice your relationship with the invisible world. That's what's always happened. There's never been a point in history.
Sorry, invisible.
You're scaring us.
No. But let me just put a simple concept.
Yeah.
When someone speaks and you listen to them, what do you call that? When, like, for example, you listening to me right now and not interrupting me.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Listening process.
So you're listening to me.
Yeah.
Deeper than listening, would you say that?
There's a thought process happening, obviously.
A thought process. So okay, for example, the idea of respect. What would you label respect as? Because you can't physically touch respect, right? You can't physically grasp respect, but it's happening. So what you can't grasp nor touch, but still occurs, is an invisible force.
Right.
That's spirituality. You understand? It's the stuff you can't see, but the stuff that exists. Nothing to do with, oh my God. No, that's just the Westerner messing up your brain cells. It's the stuff you can't see, and it's your relationship with that.
Yes.
So when I say the core essence of being an African descendant is comprehending your relationship with the invisible,
right?
That's what I'm talking about. Hence, when we play some music, right, something invisible happens, it takes over your body and you start to do stuff like that.
Love it.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's the stuff that you can't physically grasp, but it's still occurring. Now, as I said, there's many studies, there's so much out there. So for me, for individuals to not be aware of what it means to practice spirituality today, it's a deliberate, consistent repeat of actions that puts you into that category.
Is it like a religion?
It's not. The idea of religion is.
Is that what it's actually called? African spirituality.
That's not, I wouldn't label it as that whatsoever. I wouldn't put limits on it. I would say that it's something that individuals have to do in correlation to their own heritage, right? Okay. So when you look at your heritage, so where you come from, there's practices and there's also traditions that have been going on since the beginning of time. Because us being here, we're a physical manifestation of our DNA being in the physical form it's in today. You know what I mean? You're only the result of the union of two people since the beginning of time. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and that union is going to keep going and keep going and keep going. So what I find interesting with the position of African descendants today is that we're so happy to take information from a next man. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just so glad. Like, yeah, sure. Tell me what to do with my life. I'll just follow.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, that's a mazza. Yeah, because as I said, the main thing you're going to find in studying who you are and your heritage is the practice of thinking for yourself and mastering yourself. Nothing to do with you comes from anyone else.
So how did you get into that though? Were you born in a Christian home or anything?
Of course, I'm literally a Bible nerd.
Really?
So you grew up with it?
Yeah, I grew up with it, but then I started to see the fallacy through it.
So when did you receive that change? When did you kind of think, I'm going to start thinking for
myself? What age were you?
That's a great question. I would say that I could always see it, but because of the wisdom, because there is an untold amount of wisdom found within the Bible. So because of the wisdom within it, I was still attached to it until like my early 20s. So I'd say 23, I would still call myself a Christian at 23. And then I went to the motherland at 25, right? Just before my birthday. And that's where I done like a lot of work in terms of like my Pan-Africanist work, like visually speaking with my music and all of that. And after that trip, I knew exactly who I was and I didn't need any Caucasian thing near me.
Whoa, he does not need Caucasian thing. I like how you just say it as it is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people try and sugarcoat it where they'll be like, I don't want anything that's not black. You're like, Caucasian, I don't want it. Do you ever really get people come at you for that?
Exactly.
I think they're too afraid to come at me when I say that.
Is it?
Because I'll purposely make a bold statement and then wait for their reaction.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of the time they just fold. So, yeah.
I get scared because I don't want to make maybe white people feel uncomfortable.
But that's
I try not to say white people. I'll try and just be like black.
But see that practice itself is like, that's mind control. The reason why we get scared is because we've been placed in the position to perceive them as God.
Yeah.
You know, that's the whole reason of the whole white Jesus thing.
Yeah.
Because the studies that have been made on the character that Jesus represents historically would all tell you that he was black. It's apparent that it's an African man. Even if you read how the Bible describes Jesus, he's describing an African man. But then you're reading the Bible and you've got pure European names, and it's like, raw. Like, you're actually going to have European names to talk about the practices of African practices. That's very interesting. And we never put the question mark on it. We just say, yeah, sure. Yeah, they're about to sacrifice a lamb. That's the European thing to do. There's lions in Europe.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's almost like an insult of our capacity to think for ourselves.
But I mean, I guess it's easy to say, but when like your money depends on it, like Anthony Joshua, when he did the speech about how we need to support black businesses, he lost a lot of what was it, sponsorship because of that.
Oh, absolutely.
And there was a lot of like white people that came at him saying, why can't you support white businesses, why black businesses? And it made them feel uncomfortable. And it's like, it's good, but you can notice that after that speech, Anthony kind of stopped. He didn't really keep pushing after that. He kind of was like, you know what, I want my money.
This is what you have to understand when you're talking about capitalism, yeah? Capitalism normalizes subordination. The third world countries, or the so-called third world countries in Africa, pay a tax to first world countries. So that's the system you're talking about in correlation to like how the money then functions for figures such as Anthony Joshua. What Anthony stood for is what I mentioned at the start of this podcast, where like in the space of 10 years, after us being set free in America, we've completely changed the entire dynamic of how the economics were working in America. Yeah. And that's happened because we're amazing. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's who we are, then that's what we're on. So like, you have to understand that if you still play the game, you can't be surprised at these sort of things. You can't be surprised that white people are going to be overly emotional. Most of them aren't educated. No, most of them want to be educated because it would mean that they would have to face themselves. A lot of people don't want to face themselves. They just want to be, yeah, sure, I live a lie. That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't expect people to understand unless they do the work.
Yeah.
You have to do the work. There's no running away from it.
Whose job is it to educate? Is it their job to educate themselves, or our job as black people to educate them?
We have no business educating them. Okay. We've got all business educating ourselves.
Even if we try to educate, we're not even being able to be put on a platform to educate.
Yeah.
We've got no business educating.
We get shadowed banned, let's just say. So how can we educate?
Business.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, man.
It's true.
They'll never change. Ever. I mean, time will tell.
Deep.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, when we have people like you that are just gonna say it as it is, I really like the rawness that you have with it. Like, you're like black, white, Caucasian. I love that.
It's true.
Absolutely.
Like, what should we look forward to from you? Like, have you got any projects that you're working on?
Yeah. I've got quite a bit of music that I'll be releasing this year. But deeper than that now, I think my work is more about the education that I'm trying to enable people to want to seek for. You know, like study. And studying doesn't have to be boring nor something that you don't like. It can be something you find a lot of entertainment in. And most importantly, keeping our focus.
Yeah.
You know, because that's really what they're doing. They're removing us from focusing on what's important. So personally, at the minute, I'm also writing a book.
Ooh.
I've not done it.
Author.
I've not challenged myself since university, and I forgot that I could actually do it. Because, as I said, you spend so much time just on, I'll get some money, I'll do this, Babylon, all of them things.
Babylon.
Yeah, man. So really and truly, it's about how you like apply yourself towards what needs to be done. Okay. So at the minute, my focus is the uplifting of education, because the misrepresentation is real, and we need to fight it.
Yeah.
Let's kill it.
Love that.
I wish we can just keep going.
And going. I
It seems like you've
know.
got a lot of wisdom that you
Yeah.
really
Mountain.
want to drop on us.
Mountain, man.
Yeah.
We definitely will have you again
Yeah.
sometimes. I feel
Yeah.
like
Definitely.
we've not even hit the tip
Yeah,
of the iceberg
We've
yet.
not. We've not.
This is nothing.
Really. But yeah, no, we do need to like bring it to the end now.
Time.
I know. But it's been really deep. It's been like very educational.
Very
I
educational.
would say.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot.
I
I
have.
have.
Yeah.
Me too.
We
Thank
got you,
you.
man.
Thank you
We got
so much for
Yeah,
coming.
yeah.
Honestly,
For
We
coming.
appreciate you.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, guys, we've come to the end of it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I
Yes.
hope you were educated.
Yes, because we surely are.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
We surely are. So, guys, make sure you
You
hit the like
comment,
and subscribe, guys. Yeah,
That's
like we
it.
said, it's the end of season 1.